rumors are true. Elmont, assemble a team of your best men.
Yes, sir.
Bring back my daughter.
Your Majesty, I want to volunteer.
What do you suppose is up there? I never suppose. I simply prepare for everything.
There's that beanstalk. This is Jack the Giant Slayer. Letting you know this is the adult Jack and the Beanstalk.
I don't care what you call it. It's still Jack and the goddamn Beanstalk.
No, it's still we didn't feel like paying anybody any money for the rights to something. That's what this is.
Well, who they gonna pay the rights to for this? I mean, who
the Brothers Grimm are so far dead they don't even know who's related to them.
I'm saying, who they gonna pay? Anybody can take this shit.
No, but the idea is that they chose a property that they didn't have to pay for.
Yeah.
Oh well, yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was just the studio move to make these like old fairy tales hip and cool, especially since we just had Hansel and Gretel, the kick-ass vampire slayers.
Well, that's the trend.
And Snow White and the Huntsman.
Snow White and the kick-ass vampire slayers and the
Once again, no money changes hands.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But this, you're right, co-host. This does follow the trend of making some of these fairy tales darker, more adulterer.
adultery.
I don't know any adultery going on.
I didn't see no titties or nothing like that.
Although this is kind of that one that is like gets confused about where it wants to be because it's a lot brighter and flashier, an action movie. And there's a lot more killing than you'd want to show to a little kid. But at the same time, it's got humor in there that can't be for anyone else but really young kids.
Well, see, that's the thing that this movie does. I mean, recently, we've had the Brothers Grimm. We had Hansel and Gretel. Right. We had that Snow White and the Huntsman. We had that Red Riding Hood or whatever it was. and all of these have been, I think the one that we've seen that's probably the best just by visuals alone is that the
Van Helsing?
The brides.
Stop
that. No, you know better. We told you never to utter those words in here again.
Well, they're making the remake now, so.
Well, good, because that
Van
last
Helsing?
one was.
with Daniel Day-Lewis. Yeah.
As Lincoln.
He's only doing that to screw with Hugh Jackman.
That you. But yeah, Snow White and the Huntsman was probably the one that looked the best, but none of these have really, I think, been hard-hitting, really tight stories.
Yeah, we got to look back for Freeway for a really good modern-day adult version.
Well, you
of
make a good point. I mean, there's been stories like this done, but they've been more subtle. They've kind of brought them in and just said that if you look closely, it takes place in the real world, but we might give you hints of this being a fairy tale. Now, these are actual fairy tales. Yeah, and these are dark. I mean, listen. When you always heard about Jack and the Beanstalk, you hear people talking about, Jack had to face these giants that eat people. This giant that would eat people, but you never saw a giant eating people. Nope. And in this movie, you got several giants, and they make a buffet out of human people in here.
Humans are delicacy.
Oh yeah,
that's in the original story. Jack succeeds in spite of himself, right? He's a dumbass capitalist, so he trades his cow for magic beans, right? He's an idiot, and he's like, oh fuck, that was stupid. I admit. So gets a magic beanstalk by accident. He doesn't know what the shit that's for. Gets up there, kills a giant by running from him. Remember that? Like he didn't do anything clever. He just runs, and the giant gets a little overexcited and slips and falls, and that's it.
Right.
Here, Jack is more of a badass. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Or is he?
You know what?
Yeah, he's still more of a dumbass.
Yeah, he is.
I was about to say he's still a dumbass. He's still like traded a horse with some beans.
He just manages to find his balls eventually.
He got tricked out of him, right? Remember that?
But he's still a dumbass.
You know what? You saw how nobody else was talking to that monk.
Yeah.
The monk's like, please help me. And they're like, fuck you. I got shit to do. You ain't robbing me.
In fact, this movie should have been called Jack the Giant Dumbass.
or Jack should have saw a snitch, should have learned from that other kid's mistake, accepting packages you shouldn't be getting.
Yeah. And here you're right. We have besides seeing people get eaten. I mean, it's like giants in this movie. They walk around with jars full of people in it. They just pull them out and just put them in.
Yeah, they eat them like Slim Jim.
Yeah,
snap into a human.
Snap into a Slim man.
Snap into Jack.
Yeah. They ate Slim in here. And Jim too.
Villagers really satisfied.
But here, not only do we get to see more graphic violence, giants eating people, and it's really not all that graphic, but we do see people get killed. But we also have more of a deeper story in this, where it was just Jack going up into this giant's castle, just pretty much just invading his home. Giant didn't like it, and Jack had to run out of there, and this dumbass giant got killed by tumbling over his own feet. Mm-hmm. And this one, we have a bunch of intrigue going on with the kingdom that Jack is living in. The princess doesn't want to be a princess. She wants to explore the world. But meanwhile, the king won't let her do it. And the king doesn't want her to do it because she's set to marry Lord Roderick, an older man who's ugly as hell and twice as conniving. And
It's always that same story.
it's always that same story. It's always a princess who's in an arranged marriage with an evil, ugly son of a bitch, and he's oblivious to her happiness. And outside of that, this kind of still follows Jack and the Beanstalk, the classic story. Jack ends up getting fooled into having some beans for his horse and his cart, takes him back home. Uncle says, "You dumb motherfucker." You knocks the beans out of his hand. Beans fall to the floor. A giant beanstalk grows into a land in the sky, and there is a giant along with several other giants.
It's
with
a
an
land
army of
giants.
giants.
And another part of the intrigue in this story is that these giants want to take over the kingdom. I don't know why giants want to take over a little Lego set.
Yeah.
For them, but they do.
Because it's a veritable smorgasbord. I mean, all these new fresh people to eat.
Yeah, I
that
don't know
sounds
what
delicious.
the hell they're eating up there because there's no people anywhere. All there is your human bones all over the place, but no actual humans. They go down there and they're like, "Wow, this is a grocery store."
It's all the beanie weenies I want. Which still makes no sense to me, but sure.
And so they have to figure out to get rid of this beanstalk before giants find a way to get down. I say that I think I like the story more than any of these dark versions of fairy tales that I've seen because it's a little more playful. And granted, Hansel and Gretel was also kind of playful. It was also not taking itself too seriously, but it was also relishing in the fact too much that it was rated R. And this one seems to hit a balance of, okay, this is dark, but we're still keeping some sort of charm of what these fairy tales are. We're not trying too hard to be edgy.
They're not trying to be like a comic book version of Blade or something where it's like, let's bring in this other element of action and, let's have everyone hold swords and be a badass with them and slice and dice. No, it's like, well, you're missing kind of the point of why these stories are famous to begin with. It's like,
Hansel and Gretel really does miss the point. And it also misjudges how we collectively feel about Hansel and Gretel. It's one of those fairy tales. It's like, okay, but so it's like, yeah, but what if the real story is like this? It's like, yeah, but it would be nothing like that. Yeah. Whereas this is more of like, no, let's really imagine this story, how it could have played out, and just add some extra elements to make it more of an adventure.
All the extra elements being, of course, familiar ones from other fairy tales. I mean, all of it feels organic to this kingdom. Plus, you've taken these giants, and you haven't turned it to the point where it's gory. I mean, most of what we see, even as they're raising a villager up to their mouth to eat them, you never actually see the crunch or anything like that.
But you hear
it. But there's no mistaking.
Yeah. You know what happens now, and it gives you a real sense of danger and dread from these creatures. They actually do seem dangerous, if not really too stupid to do anything on their own.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother matter.
Well, see, I think you hit a good point, Leon, by saying that in Hansel and Gretel, those characters, again, they were just posing as badasses. I didn't really relate to them. They were brothers and sisters who all of a sudden turned into these kick-ass witch hunters. And I felt there was too much emphasis on them being those badasses instead of being a brother and sister team who work together. Yeah. Nicholas Hoult as Jack here, he's a lot more likable. Yeah, he's stupid as shit, but there's something about that kind of character that makes you laugh because he's this hapless underdog type character.
Yes.
This guy cannot catch a break.
He can't catch a break. He's not really that good at what he does. He's no badass. But then you have what's that boy's name? Ewan McGregor come in, who's once again playing a Jedi Knight.
Yeah.
The leader.
He's pretty much playing Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He's Obi-Wan Kenobi, leader of these knights, and he's got some personality.
Sir Elmont.
Yeah, Sir Elmont, and he's got some personality. He's got flair. He's got bravado and all. But, Jack manages to show him up every so often.
Well, even in the point, there's no competition between them either. He's like he is Obi-Wan because he'll come and say, look, man, you better stop looking at that princess because you ain't got a shot in hell, all right? But at the same time, when Jack does something that's badass, he comes up and goes, dude, that was cool.
Man, that's the thing about that's the thing about Sir Elmont. Like, he ain't hating. Whenever, and you could tell the princess in this is played by Eleanor Tomlinson. And at first, Ewan McGregor's character seemed like he's trying to push up on Eleanor because he's telling Jack, man, don't even mess with that.
Because she ain't going to get with a commoner. Yeah. And if she is, it's going to be me.
But once he sees them kind of getting together, he stands back and say, "Hey, man, I know what a player's been played. You know,
I'm not Sir Cockblocker.
Now, Corey, did you,
Sir blocks a lot.
so Corey, did you learn anything from this?
Hell no, I didn't learn nothing from it.
No, of course not. But you know what?
I ain't no knight, and I'm not no gentleman.
But saying that though, I have to admit, as much as they showed on the surface of what he was about, because we all are familiar with Jack, yes, we could relate to Jack, because this is the Jack from the story, but like they're bringing this whole new element, I still felt that there was a lack of real character development between all of them, you know. And
Ewan McGregor felt like the most developed character, and he was a secondary
and
character.
he was completely secondary, where, you know, there's a statement that he makes towards the end of the movie where I'm like, wow, he's pretty much saying what he really felt about taking on this role now. I'm sure after he sits in the theater and watches it, he's like, wait a minute. But, I mean, and that's where the movie stumbled for me. And it's unfortunate because, you know, with a character like Jack, you know, you want to get to know him even more. I mean, because he is supposed to be, the movie's called Jack the Giant Slayer. So you want to know more about him, but you really don't, because I think the movie starts to focus on too many of these elements that they brought in, to where you get it kind of gets lost within the bigger, you know, the bigger whole of the story, where Jack seemed like a secondary character throughout a good part of the movie.
Well, that's the thing. He's supposed to be a strong, funny, hapless to some extent, sure, but still very likable, very identifiable action hero. And they don't really give him anything funny to say or anything charismatic to say.
We're sorry, sir. We don't want any trouble. Good. Because that's what you're going to get. Trouble. Yeah. All three of you. A whole lot of trouble. There's something behind me, isn't there?
What's your name?
Jack?
It's all like they all just show us him like in the middle of these big sort of, oh shit, I can't believe we survived that, like something out of the Mummy action scenes without ever laying a personality for him to have, other than I sure do like that princess. Yeah. You know, I mean, the only humor really in this movie on the whole is unfortunately from the giants, like picking their nose and rubbing it on things and farting. And it's like, this is the kind of film that would have benefited so much by just a rewrite of Jack himself, giving him a little bit more clever things to say here and there. Because on the whole, he's just kind of a cipher.
Well, yeah, missing the clever things to say. It's like it needed a script doctor or just some punch up to give it that, because the movie does a lot of things right, as we talked about. But the blanket thing it doesn't get right is that it just feels kind of shallow. Yeah. Like what you see is what you get. You're not getting to know these characters, or they aren't endearing in a way that's not just what you see. So you take that home with you, and you like feel like you know them or you like them. You like these characters because, well, you're told to, and they're the ones you follow the most. And it was unfortunate with the Giants that they had to go for the fart joke so often. Because with the first one or two, I was like, well, okay, the Giants, you're making them nasty. But it did it so much, I'm like, wait, what audience is this movie for?
You see, that I agree, the movie, Coast, you were talking about this is rushed. And I can see what you're saying. I could have been more character development, I think so, but it didn't bother me that much, because at least these characters are working together. And this is to me, I was taken in the spirit of a fairy tale where they just get to the point really fast. I mean, I was surprised that they actually added some details in there. I like the handling of climbing the beanstalk. And that beanstalk, I mean, the story, the beanstalk is going to the sky. Jack climbs that shit in an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Here, they show climbing a beanstalk, you're going to have to stop, rest. Some guy's going to die. Some dumbass is going to fall and bring a bunch of people down with him. You're going to have to camp out for the night. Lightning might take you down. I mean, I thought that was, let me just say this. As much as I like the characters working together, as much as I like the details they put in, I found the beanstalk itself more threatening than the Giants.
Oh, I did too. As well, or even the secondary villain, which was, I forget that, what's the actor's name who played him?
Stanley Tucci.
Yeah, Stanley Tucci, who was just the most generic mustache twirler of a villain imaginable. I mean, here's another problem. If you're not going to have a strong hero, at least you should have a strong villain.
Right.
And they don't.
He reminded me of the
so
Princess
forgettable.
Bride villain.
Yeah, except that guy had clever dialogue.
Yeah, he was great. It was like they tried to model a character like him, but they failed at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's a feeling of having basically two villains. humans, one being the giants and the other being him.
3, the beanstalk. Remember? Carl just said it.
I'm saying
The beanstalk is the best. It's the most
It's a
tense.
hazard.
It's the most tense moment of the movie.
and a beanstalk is threatening, no matter how you look at it. I love
You just
the way
don't like beans.
Man, I love beans.
Your parents make you eat your vegetables?
He used to have to go pick him off beanstalk. That's what he ate.
I got raped by the Jolly Green Giant. It wasn't funny.
My mom used to tell me if I swallowed the watermelon seeds, a beanstalk would grow out my ass.
Yeah, it's funny. People told me that too.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know why.
You ate watermelon seeds, a beanstalk would grow out of Corey's ass?
What?
Hey,
How does that even work, cuz?
What story is this you're telling? Is this your reimagining?
I see when they got to the Giants, I thought they looked good. I mean, that's CG. Everybody knows what CG looks like. I don't think that's the point. I don't think people care anymore. I like the way the Giants look. I like the idea behind an army of giants instead of one, but they're not as threatening as they could be. These are monsters, and they don't. These are not the kind of creatures that you reason with in the movie. They made no bones to show you that these are a race of assholes. All right, they don't give a fuck. They don't want to. They don't want you to reason with them. They're there for one reason, and that is to conquer and eat humans.
Probably assholes because there's no girl giants.
And there are none.
I thought about
That's
that
what I
too.
was wondering,
I was
yeah.
like, how do they get more giants?
Exactly.
There's no
There were
giants.
two things that they're. In addition to the Giants are not threatening because once you get past the look of them, the first giant that shows up is actually kind of a scary scene. But when they get to all the other giants, you got one giant voiced by Bill Nye who has a mumbling little retarded head on his shoulder, and then all the giants are farting and picking their noses, and they're playing it up for laughs more than they're making these giants threatening. They even go for obvious visual jokes. I hated that pig in a blanket
pig in a
joke.
blanket.
I mean, come on, yeah, ha.
The Giants are represented like the Three Stooges, and it doesn't help with the fact that you're supposed to be afraid of them.
They just weren't that creative either.
No, they weren't. They didn't give any of them distinct personalities, even when they tried.
Just the Bill Nye
They didn't. Yeah, they just gave you what you would expect on the surface level, and it didn't pay off in the end or even in the story. But another complaint that I really had was just how the characters never really felt like they were part of their environment. Like my biggest gripe about it was when they actually got to the land of giants that is just floating in the goddamn sky, and when they arrive, it's like, all right, we're here, guys. Let's go look for the princess. And
Right.
Nobody made a reaction like, wow, all the stories that we were told when we were kids, this place is real. This place is here. How is this place floating in the
It
sky
would have been
like
nice
this?
to see a moment of awe and wonder.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
It's like my problem with the Star Wars movies when they introduced, the Jedi Council. It was just we're just walking in a building. Hey, here they are. It's all it is. And there's no sense of wonder or wow or like you're a part of this group seeing these amazing things.
Well, at first it was like that until they got to all the obvious jokes and gross jokes. But the other thing is, I don't understand the logic behind this. I mean,
and it's one of those where I'm not defending it, but it is the idea of it's a fairy tale. It's not going to go by logic.
I know it's a fairy tale, but I like the way they pay attention to detail for the beanstalk. But then I'm just talking about little things. See, there's some things if you can look over it, that's fine. But when they go out their way to make an announcement about something, draw attention to it, it doesn't make sense to me. There's this line where they're fighting over one of the humans that they caught, and they're saying, "Oh, I get to eat that. No, I get to eat that. Shut up, because you know the rule. The first one who captures the hunt is the one that gets to eat it." And I'm thinking, what hunting is there? Y'all are up in the clouds for years. Y'all ain't hunting shit.
Right.
In fact, why are all these human skulls and shit on the floor? Because you've been up here not eating humans for a long time. In fact, what are you eating besides little sheep?
Sheep, yeah.
And I just thought they didn't even need that line in there. It's just the land of giants, and they're just waiting for the moment to attack. They don't have to put in this whole thing where they hunt and all that kind of shit because they don't do it anyway.
Well, even to the point where there's sort of a mini mutiny within the giants themselves, and it's like, guys, this has no place here. You're not even going to tell us what's going on.
That makes sense in Transformers. You have your Megatron Starscream moment.
It was funny because the one tell me if you didn't think this. I'm looking at you because you probably agree with me, but anybody else chime in if you saw this. Okay, so you have Bill Nye, who was obviously the leader.
Yeah.
Even though they all don't have a leader, that's the guy that's in charge right there.
Right.
He's got two heads. That pretty much says
Are you,
it all.
There you go.
Are you speaking of his challenger who had the bad afro?
Man, that guy. Now tell me if that don't look like Usher with a bad perm.
It did. I thought that.
Yes, thank you. That's why I asked
He's got
you.
the same nose as Usher.
Yeah,
and those beady eyes.
Well, if Usher had I'm not talking about an afro, but if Usher had a bad perm.
Yeah, like a Don King.
I was wondering, like, man, why are all these girls like all like getting all wet right now? Why is because Usher knows how to get those women, but hey, if having hair like that makes you get chicks, then hey, where do I sign up?
Now the real Usher doesn't have that hair. It's that giant.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know, man. I like this. Like I said, this would have been a full price movie for me had they made this. If they were going to go for dark, go for dark. I think Bryan Singer, as we all know, this is a guy that comes from a dark area. I mean, the Usual Suspects, but he managed to take
Pupil.
Apt Pupil, yeah. And then he managed to take the X-Man, make that dark, but still make it somewhat
X-Men.
cool.
X-Men 2 was a great example of taking those characters, putting them in a dark situation, with some consequences, and see how it all plays out.
He managed to make a dark movie without having to depend on cheap laughs or crossing the line. He just kind of took it seriously. I thought, if you're going to go that level right here, do that. Before I continue, I just want to say, I'm with you, Cyrus. I could not. I don't like Stanley Tucci's character in here, which makes me mad because I like Stanley Tucci. I don't even like that he has the name Roderick. Because Stanley Tucci, he's just a weasel in this movie. He's literally a backstabber, and everything he says, I can't stand that motherfucker, man. Because everything he says, he's got that gap mouth, and he's like, and everybody named Roderick that I know of acts like that.
Are you sure though that he was?
I hate people named Roderick. First of all,
are you sure that he was really the weasel? I thought his buddy, the guy who was from Trainspotting, second command, was more of
he was
a
the
weasel.
second weasel in command, but he was the first weasel in command. I don't know. Maybe it did work because I can't stand motherfuckers.
It's like the respecting machine as the king when you can't see through that shit. It's like anyone could see through that.
Ian
shit.
McShane, I love Ian McShane. I said, hey,
you do no wrong.
Hey, if anybody's going to be a king, Ian McShane. fuck the queen. Ian McShane should go to England and say, hey, I'm ruling this shit.
Well, I guess it's making me laugh because like he's such a powerful presence that Ian McShane himself that you don't often like realize how short he is. But in this movie, it's like seeing him in that full armor, but standing next to people. He looked like a Pee-wee king.
I know. Watching that scene, it felt like Mel Brooks went in and directed that scene right there. He's all regal with that big ass like cape, painting him, and then like he steps out of it, and you realize like he's like a hobbit walking out.
Hey, you know what?
He's like who's that king in the first Shrek movie?
Okay, y'all talk that shit. I bet y'all asses would bow down if he walked in here. Oh, hell yeah. You know what? He wouldn't even be in that king suit. He'd just be wearing some sneakers and a jumpsuit. Y'all be like, oh, hell.
I have a feeling even though if I did bow down to him, I still wouldn't be at eye level with him. So
you'd still be taller than him. Yeah, that's right. He'd kick in your fucking head.
It's like, where are you?
He'd walk in here and call me a cocksucker and I'd wet my pants.
Yeah, you would bow down. You'd be a cocksucker, all right. Yeah. You would live up to that name. Hey, listen, I like this. I just think that it's not a good balance of tones that they have here. They made it dark, but they got to put in all this goofy humor that it seems like they're trying to appeal to kids. And this is not a PG movie. This is PG-13. It's okay to not have to get that goofy with this. If it weren't because of that, I think I would give this a full price. I think it's the best adaptation of a fairy tale making it dark that I've seen so far, but still not perfect. So therefore, it's just a matinee.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like we're all pretty much on the same page.
No. Just want to be disagreeable.
Corey just turned that page.
Just wait for co-host some old bullshit.
Okay, well then let me elaborate on my wrap up then and spend 10 minutes talking about it. No, you know what? If it had been just a little bit more depth, and I know it's a fairy tale, it doesn't need that, but it needed some punch up to give it that dialogue that makes you go, that's great. It doesn't have that, and it just kind of misses the mark by trying to hit too many demographics. I wish I liked what's going on in it, but I still have to give it kind of a low matinee.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, Leon, except I'd say that the punch up in this type of film makes all the difference. I
Yeah.
mean, a huge amount of difference. If you don't have your action hero character to be likable and funny, then why do we give a shit? In fact, nobody in here is that way. There's even a marked lack of creativity when it comes to the giants themselves, who are all kind of bland and look more or less the same. It's like you have one interesting looking giant and all the rest are like, well, whatever, they're giants.
True.
You know, like it just felt like there was a lack of imagination going on throughout in that sense. I mean, there's a lot of fun action scenes, but I mean, no question there. They got the CG right for that stuff. Some of it's a lot of fun to watch in that context, but overall, this is a lesser film. I'm gonna give it a high rental.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I can't help but agree with everything you guys have said. I mean, my biggest problem though is character development. I wanted them to be stronger characters, especially when all these three characters get together. Jack, the princess, and Obi-Wan Kenobi. I mean, they all should have had some kind of like unity there that they didn't hash out in the script. And besides the genericness of the way the trolls look, some sequences do work, but not enough for me for it to be like extremely memorable, especially under the helm of Bryan Singer. Maybe I was expecting a little bit more, but unfortunately, I didn't get the movie I was really hoping it should have been. So I'm only giving it a high. Well, I'm giving it a rental.
A rental.
Yeah, I'm giving it a rental. Yeah.
And I was close to giving it that myself. I just thought
Each of us were going down half a note.
I know.
I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't.
Hey, if we go back around, will it end up being some bullshit we did to you?
No.
Let's
It's
do
a
the
rental.
math. Hold on. Low
it
rental.
It is a rental. No. After I
High
saw
some old bullshit. Some old bullshit. Low some old bullshit.
I tell you what, I can't help but think the giants in this movie are so pissed off at the humans, and they know that they're down there. If you were them, tell me you wouldn't just bend your ass over the cloud and just shit down on the kingdom. I mean, you're a giant.
Just throw shit down.
I would piss and say, "There's the rain," and I would shit and there's the hell.
I know they could have farted. I mean, look at us. I mean, when fucking Leon farts, it fucking affects everyone. Yeah, imagine that happening. Jesus.
Oh, come on. Someday you'll get old, too.
Oh, come on.
You're here.
I had this jacket. I had this.
Are you ready, my brother?
Let's cut a few of them down south, shall we? Another way out of here.
You make everything sound so simple.
Simple farm boy.
Not at all.
Who are you?
It's Jack!
That worked out better than I expected.